Hello and welcome to our second session review of anuj22. Let's get straight in then. This is the first hand of the match and we've managed to get reload and upgrade. We got 10 points. Everyone else has 10 points and 2 cards. Okay. So, upgrade and reload are both nice cards, but together they don't combo that well. So at some point we might be looking to get rid of them. But right now we're just looking to play a hand. We managed to hit 2 pair on the turn. We can think about making a small bet, but because there's 2 players, we can get disintegrated into. Someone could decide to draw into a flush themselves. Our hand is actually a lot weaker than you might expect. So if you were to bet, you only be wanting to bet very small, like 1/3 pot. And checking, I think, is also good. The river, our hand is completely gone now, so I think we can check, or we can bet with the hopes that someone decides to disintegrate the 9. I think just checking is the best play. So we do. Free-handed pots are always quite hard to play against. Basically, unless you've got a really nutted hand, you hardly ever want to put money into the pot. So even there with 2 pair, we weren't that safe. Okay, 9-10, we got intel. I would just use intel straight away and raise pre-flop. Looks like Anuj is doing the same. In the future, it might not be that good an idea to do because people should be folding quite frequently once you've used intel. But at the moment, no one's folding, so just keep up using it. We hit top pair on the flop. Bet quite large. I think the sizing is a little bit too big. The reason for that is if he plays disintegrate, we've just put in a lot of money into the pot. We're also incentivizing him to use powers now that we're betting so big in relation to the pot. So in a normal game of Hold'em, on the flop, at this stack depth, it seems perfectly reasonable to be betting just a little bit over half pot. But in this situation, because we could be disintegrated, because he could use other power cards, I would much prefer to be betting closer to a quarter pot. We can still get in a lot by the river. It's just that we don't want our hand being destroyed by a disintegrate. Anyway, he sees that we have the 10. So he knows we have at least an open-ended straight draw. Pot's already got quite big now because of the large flop bet. Arm 9 could well be good, but we're not quite sure. The 10 on the turn is not the nicest thing to see because then in any queen and any 7 is now straight. So it seems like the only way that we can continue in this pot is by upgrading into the 10, so we have pocket 10s. So whether the real question is whether we use reload or upgrade. Because the blinds are quite low right now, it's very likely that you can wait and build up the best combination play for later on in the game. So at this point, I would prefer to use upgrade because reload is a better card in general along with others. So if you have reload and engineer or reload and scanner, reload is slightly better in that spot than upgrade. Upgrade by itself is a stronger power card than reload, so it's quite counterintuitive. But because the blind levels are low, we know we can get our power points back. So I would prefer right now to use upgrade. Let's see what Anuj does. Oh, he's thinking. He looks at upgrade. He looks at reload. Upgrade, reload. Okay, reload. I mean, it's never going to be terrible, but I think it's a little bit better to keep the reload while the blind levels are small. because it's quite likely the next time you want to get involved with power cards, you will already have 10 plus. So anyway, we hit a straight on the river. Opponent knows that we have a straight. I don't even know if there's a reason to be betting because he can see exactly what you have. Maybe you could min bet just to see if he wants to see the other part of it. Just charge him a small price. But yeah, there's obviously no reason that he should call. So 10-6 off, this is generally a spot that I would prefer to be just folding pre-flop. We have a PowerPoint disadvantage and we're out of position and we don't have a hand that helps alleviate this problem like EMP. So I would just fold outright. We get raised into by Devious22. He might be a good player. We'll have to watch out. And we fold. So now we got 9-7 off. We make a raise. I think I'll do the same. Again, we have upgrade and reload, but this time we have clone as well. Clone is not the nicest card. So we would want to at some point look to get rid of it. Right now it's not too important because the blinds are quite low, so we don't need to waste it on anything. We haven't hit at all, we're free-handed, so very likely that we're going to make a fold. Can't see why we would do anything else. Okay, so the big blind flatted and we overflatted. I think that there's next to no way we can make money with this play. I mean, sure, we could possibly be able to use powers on the river. So what are we drawing to? We're drawing to whatever the river card comes out as, or ace high, and we're going to have to go with it. Yeah, there's no way that I want to do that. So Devious has just completely foiled our plans as well. And I would be very surprised if Devious22 isn't a regular, because that was a nice way to use EMP. So now we've got ace jack. We should be ISOing. We got a point advantage. And we got ace jack. And we're in position. Not so bad. So we basically put him all in. And now it's just a question of when to put the last bit of chips in. I think that we kind of want him to use some sort of power, so we're just going to check to the river, and then we can hopefully clone that power. Reload we already have, so there's no need for that. This is a spot where I wouldn't mind using the upgrade. Does slightly better than reload. There's no way that I would be using. I would reload the ace because it's quite likely that ace high is good enough. I would want to make sure I have at least something to call. Unfortunately, we run into King 10. Apparently, he reloaded both cards and hit 2 pair, so that was quite unlucky. We both hit 2 pair actually. So yeah, this has been a weird game so far. I'll try and move it along to the next spot. Okay, Jack 5 I would be folding. We could think about a raise actually because small blind and big blind have a few points, but I would still fold. Okay, now we've got 8-3 against the limp from the button, who we are suspecting right now is a reg. On the turn, we pick up a flush draw and we have basically bottom pair, and we decide to lead for pot. I don't mind the idea of a lead. The problem is the sizing is quite large. That for me is the problem. I personally would be checking, trying to get to showdown with the hand I have, and then if they did bet really big, we've got the opportunity to reload or upgrade into the flush that came in on the turn. So again, we're in a spot where we're not in it. Move it along. Okay, 3-4. I would also fold. And now we're heads up. Okay. So devious limps. We decide to isolate with the king 8 off. I think I would not be doing that. If we had something like EMP, I wouldn't mind doing that, because we can do all sorts of fancy stuff. But just with king 8 and no real combination hands, I think I'll just be... Okay, so we make an X-ray, get limped. We limp, we ISO'd, and he has a 4 showing. So what do we do against that? First of all, I think that the X-ray is decent, because if we see an ace or a king, we can think about just immediately folding. Instead, we see a 4. So I would prefer to just see a flop, because we are presuming that he has ace 4 or pocket 4s, which we're basically flipping against. Doing this, clicking it back, means that if he doesn't have ace 4 or pocket 4s, then he's in a very awkward spot. But because we already see he has the 4 and he doesn't know what we have, I prefer to play post flop. So let's see what happens. Okay, he reloads the 4, so we're going to have to guess it's an ace and something. So we're going to say it's ace 7. We're never folding. He MPs. So yeah, the reload is going to be ace something almost definitely. Let's see what it is. Ace queen. Yeah, I think if we were to play it post flop, although we wouldn't have seen a flop like this, it would have been much easier to figure out where we are and decide if we want to go try and get king high to showdown or bluff him out of a pot. Because we had reload in the hand, it's quite nice to bluff. Luckily, we hit full house. Okay, so next hand we got king 3 offsuit. We get jammed straight into. We're definitely using scanner. Let's see if we hit a king. We do. Now the question is, are we scared of him having better hands? So because we have a free kicker, that's not the best. We could do something like upgrade into king queen and then let the board run out. Or we could upgrade into king queen and then reload into king king. That's if we were scared of a hand like ace king. I think that at that point we're kind of burning and wasting a little bit too many power points. So I would be using the reload card into king queen and leaving the king to come out on the flop. So earlier I said the complete opposite, that I would prefer to use upgrade, but we're already at the blind levels of 100, 200, and we're going to be pushed down all the way to 6 power points. In 2 hands, the blinds could be going up to 200, 400. So if we do end up splitting the pot and we end up getting all of our chips back, the upgrade will be much more useful. Also, the next hand, whoever wins it, there's going to be hardly any chips left. So if we win it, we'll have won the game. And if Devious wins it, then we'll have very little. Will we have enough? We would have enough before we limp to upgrade. So yeah, I would leave that. So obviously we keep the scan, and then I personally would reload into King Queen and then go all in with it. So Anuj has decided to use both powers because the pot is so big to give himself pocket kings. I would say it's probably unnecessary because we're only scared of ace king. That's the only combination. I think having king queen is good enough of a kick. So we're up against ace 9. The ace comes, unfortunately. Oh, and the king hits on the river, so we end up winning. That was a very intense, quick game, but we won it. We got a little bit lucky in a few spots, and I think Devious22 is almost definitely knows what he's doing. So if Devious22 is watching, hopefully he can tell us a few things that he was thinking about in that game. Otherwise, it's been good speaking to you. This has been jlhmac for OP Poker. Ciao for now.